For real. Say the TV stand for tracks and vocals. You know this is easier than 1, 2, 3. You are now tuned in to Just Whack TV. Just Whack TV.
It's been a long time, you know. You earned it.
Hey, you already know, man. Hard work, perseverance.
What's your name?
Shane Foster, aka the real Shane Foster. They call me Mr. Farsa as my artist name.
Where you from?
Me, born out of DC, by way of North Carolina. I was in the military there. Moved out to LA. Now I'm here in Atlanta.
What was it like growing up for you in your household? Grew up with mom and dad?
Yeah, so I grew up with both parents, and then my mom raised me hard too. My dad was kind of strict on, also involved in my life too a lot. R.I.P. to my father. He passed away. His anniversary is coming up December 8th. This month right here is when he passed away 4 years ago. Just my mama real being strict on me. Had a lot of uncles involved with my life, aunties involved, grandma. You know, everybody raised me. You know, so just upcoming was it was through the struggle. We out the mud. You know, middle class, super low middle class. What do you call it? When you say enough money to go to this kind of school, but not enough money to hang out and do the cool things that the people that I went to school with do. So that was kind of dope though. You know, gave me that edge to want to be successful and not be a product of my environment.
What does it mean for you to have your parents, and some of your friends may not have their parents? Any of your friends didn't have both their parents?
I would say it's truly a blessing. You know, a lot of times people use that. I wouldn't use that as an excuse. I wouldn't say be no better or be no worse as a human being, but I would just say having that person to have access to, because even though parents, they don't always have the best advice, their upcoming and bringing could be different, and they don't know how to pass it on to the next and the next and next. So the thing about it is just changing that standard, which I have already said with my kids, and the way I was raised versus the way I raised my kids, it's just totally different. It's totally like left and right from what's going on. So definitely I would say it's a blessing, but just having someone in your life in general would just help you become a better person as a whole. It don't necessarily have to be your parents. It could be the auntie or that neighbor. We grew up with the neighbor down the street that was always, hey, you shouldn't do that. Tapping you on the shoulder like, that ain't right. You should do this better. Or just having that uncle like, when I came up, you should do this and X, Y, Z. So, I had a lot of that going on. I think that played a big role into like the person I am today. And then being in the military too had a lot to do with it.
You ever got a whooping?
Oh, all the time. You remember the switches like so it's funny you run it up, man, because me and my brother, we just talking about, we was on I talk to my family a lot on FaceTime and Facebook live chat. We be on chat and stuff, just popping it off. But we was talking about how my auntie, one of my aunties, always make us get a switch for cutting through her garden. She had a little garden, so we would cut through it. And even though it feel like it was a rough little looking garden, but it actually had food in it. Well, when you kids, you don't care. Like, oh, this is rough, and there's a fence behind us, so you just jump the fence, cut across, hit the block the other way, cut it through, whatever, cut the yard. But like my auntie used to go out there, go pick your switch, go out there, and then you come out with a little one, she coming back with a branch. She come back with a branch. But yeah, I stay getting with bees, man, because I was always like inquisitive about things and wanted to be, I don't know, just curious about everything. And they be like, no, you know better than that. I just be like, okay, cool, whatever. I just take that L.
What was it about the whooping that you learned from that probably helped you out today?
Discipline, which is my biggest fortitude, why I'm successful today. Having that discipline and maintaining that discipline and knowing that there's going to be consequences behind your actions, that is just something powerful that no one else can instill in you. That's just something that you have to grow into and just learn to adjust to.
You ever whoop your kids?
Nah, I spanked my daughter. I spanked my daughter sadly because she just was pushing those buttons one time and just totally disrespectful. And I think I haven't had an issue since. But I strongly think that I've been scarred a lot mentally from butt whoopings. I think some of them were a little over exaggerated. Versus, sometimes I probably, I deserve that. When I think back, I deserve that ass whooping. But it's sometimes man, I got spanked for this. Or talking out of turn at church, because I used to play the drums at church. It's oh, you had hip hop. I used to be, go-go was big on the scene, so I might throw a little go-go in on some Jesus say the Lord, pray. Just throw a little go-go beat freestyle. It's now you know better than that, and I get spanked for that. But it's dang, I was just being creative. I'm thinking about that, I was just being creative. That's what helps me today is just being creative and having those ideas. Like, imagine if I let that shut me out. Like, I wouldn't even be as creative no more. Like, oh my God, like, I'm going to get spanked. Like, no, I got to stick to what I'm doing. I'm supposed to be sticking to this. And it's like, nah, just being creative. Like, that's why I feel like I got the most fingers for it, just going outside the box, going outside the crayon lines, more or less to say.
What was it like for at the dinner table with your family? Were you the comical one? Were you the musically inclined child? Were you the one that everybody favored?
I would say I was the oldest, so always the comical one. My little brother is actually way more comical. He did more raw stuff, just natural talent and stuff all the time with the jokes. And then musically inclined, like that's all of us musically inclined. We all play instruments in school or play some kind of sport or something. Besides my other brother, he didn't do nothing. He just was a jokester. We play a lot of pranks and jokes and shit on you all the time. And it get kind of annoying. But yeah, I would say sometimes I participate in it, but not to the extreme point that he was doing, for sure.
When did you realize you were musically inclined?
I would say when I was about 9 years old, I just used to beat on pots and pans and stuff, and I got on the drum set, and I used to go to church. So let me back up. I used to go to church so much, I had to find a reason to like want to go to church. I was like, man, every day, really, mama, every day, like Bible study, missionary day, ladies service, freaking choir rehearsal, deacon mission board, like all that. I used to go to all that stuff. I was like, man, I gotta learn how to do something. So I picked up the drumsticks and I started rocking. That was my God gift talent. Like I never had no lesson. I never had nobody teach me. Besides when I started learning music theory and stuff in high school, you start playing with bands, you start learning how to read music. Other than that, and that was shout out to Tori Hines. He like taught me. He got me. He harped on me a lot as a kid, like to learn music theory because I used to be hard like, nah, I don't want to learn music. I already can play. But it's like learning that gave me that extra little edge, understanding to be able to talk music language to people. Like that's long term for people to just understand. Oh, that's F sharp, and like, oh, okay, that's 3/4 or that's 4/4. Just understanding that language to be to interpret it. It's like, okay, yeah, this is dope. This give me a lot further. But yeah, just growing up in church, that's what made me realize that hey, I can play the drums. I'm be talented at this.
What would an ex-girlfriend say about you?
Man, what would she say? I do what I'm supposed to do. I'm a real man. I might joke around and do a bunch of extra stuff I probably ain't supposed to be doing, or probably wasn't supposed to be doing at the time, but I always took care at home, and I was fun. We had fun. It could be what they say. You can be toxic and be fun, like, but you had fun. Did you die? You had fun? Nah, that would be something to say. Like, we definitely any relationship I ever had with anybody, it's always been fun. Absolutely.
When did you first get discovered?
I would say being out in LA, I met up with my partner Davis Chris, which is a unique story. We met up at LA Film School. I decided not to go to law school, and I just posted about it's funny. December 4th, I had like a decision 5 years ago, like, Dad, do I go to school and try to be a lawyer? Which everybody wants to be a lawyer, a doctor. That's how my parents wanted when I was growing up. Or do I go out to this music school and like really get into the entertainment industry and learn my craft and hone my craft? So I moved out to LA back in 2016, January 2016. The very first day of school, I met my partner right now, my business partner, Davis Chris, who we've been rocking out with ever since. We both walked down to the studio, the state-of-the-art studio at the school offered that was free, while everybody else was kind of like in Hollywood mode, like, oh man, Hollywood, and they was just hanging out and being all nonchalant, like not really even focused on really school. We just had just finished orientation, so we walked down there. They let us into the building. We ain't know nothing about the boards, nothing. We just knew that we wanted to be dope and we wanted to make music. So we sat down there for like 4 or 5 hours, figured it out, set it up, and then we just kept coming back every day, and then for like a 2-year period. We was there, the studio was open 7 days a week. We was there 7 days a week, about 6 to 8 hours a day, and going to school and doing internships, and we just been rocking out ever since. That's when I knew like it was gonna be go time for sure.
What do you think most people lack when they get to that beginning stage? What is it about that beginning stage do you think that scares people?
I would say the consistency. Like getting kicked in the throat. Like, you know how many no's? I've probably taken like 5,000 no's. And I get it now. Like I totally get it now, because sometimes you have to be like, no, and then time is money. Like I might not have the most money. I might not have been offered. My verbiage might not have been right to be like, hey, I have a budget. Now I understand what those words mean. Like, oh, what's your budget? Or what's this? It's like, okay, I get it now. You want me to buy your time, but I would say the most would be being consistent. A lot of people lack that. A lot of people lack discipline. The discipline to be like, all right, this is what I'm going to go do. I'm going to the studio. I'm going to record. And I'm going to do 4 or 5 songs. And this is going to be it. Instead of like, oh, I'm going to go here. Okay, they turn it up. I'm going to turn it up too. And 3, 4 hours go by, you barely got half a song done. It's like, just, we kept that discipline. Me and my partner, we going there. It's work time. It's serious mode. Like, we be like robots in there. Like, we be knocking it out. And I think we met with a lot of artists like that came along across our path. And then now coming back around our path, it's like, man, y'all boys y'all was serious. They might have strayed off and did something else or jumped on this wagon. Or, a lot of people do a lot of cloud chasing. If you ain't it, then they gonna go deal with somebody else. And then when it don't work out, then they come back, you it. And they're like, oh man, I want to work with them. So it's like we get a lot of that now, and it's just funny, like how the tables turn. It's like, oh no, like you gotta have a budget. Like, what's your budget right now? Like it don't just work. Because when we was trying to help them just rock out and be genuine, no one really gave us attention. Nobody really opened up doors for you. Had a lot of doors closed. A lot of people just like that were gatekeepers and just kind of like, well, you ain't ready. And I totally get that now too. It's like a lot of people are like, oh, you ready? They just reach back out like, hey, man, let's do this. Let's work with my artists here and do this. And it's like, I feel like a lot of time we develop, like putting in the work. Like we put in the work. So I feel like a lot of time we were just like, okay, let's work with this person. Let's work with this person. Let's work with that person. Because at the end of the day, it's going to pay off. It's either going to pay off or it's not. And a lot of artists, like I said, a lot of producers and engineers, they don't have that discipline to be like, all right, I'm going to work every day. They want to turn up. Oh, it ain't working out. I hate everybody. They don't support my music. Nobody want to work with me. And now my price is going to be sky high because I got to pay bills. Instead of just keeping it smooth and keeping it consistent, people just rock out. Like people are naturally drawn to you, and then everything just happens. It just start unfolding.
DFD. What does DFD stand for?
Real simple. So my partner, he's a double duo, just super talented GOAT. His name Davis Chris, man, and his last name is Davis, and my last name Foster, so it's Davis Foster Davis. And we just rocked out with that because we had to come up with it on the spot. We was doing we was in a situation we were trying to deal with some distro, and it was like, "What's y'all brand?" And we was like, "Oh man, we just Mr. Foster and Shane Foster and Davis Chris." And it was like, "No, yeah, what's y'all brand?" It was like we got in the huddle real quick. It was like, all right, Davis Foster Davis. Like, it just had a ring to it. It was like, we're going to rock at DFD music. Like, that's what it is. So that's our brand, and we've been rocking out with it ever since.
What could you say to somebody who's starting out that wants to go that same journey or wants to go a similar path?
I would say learn your craft. Like, that's the biggest thing that helped us be successful was we actually went to college for. We actually have degrees in entertainment business, audio engineering, music production. So, like, we put in the work. So, like, put in the work. You have to reach out to people, podcasts. There's so much like information. The most powerful information is right in your hand, your phone, where you spend most of your time. Instead of looking at IG and girls twerking and looking at who's doing what and all that, try to like look at people that's like inspirational, motivational speakers, or look at people that's done a lot of industry that might only have 300-400 followers or may have 1,000 followers. Those will be your decision makers anyway. So if you study what they got going on, all these free public podcasts, all this YouTube, Google search, and like really learn the terminology, learn the verbiage, understand what the ISRC code is, understand what the UPC means, understand what how streaming, how big playlisting, and how to run Spotify ads and Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads. You gotta really like learn that stuff because that's gonna help you. Instead of you having to pay somebody, you can save a lot of money to do yourself. And even if you're paying somebody, you know if they're doing their job or not. So like learning the craft, you know when you get shortcutted, even the legal stuff. Like I did a legal certification program before I even got into the entertainment when I was in the military and stuff, and it was like, man, I'm so glad I had that because it helps me understand verbiage, just basic verbiage in contract where I'm not giving a lawyer 300 times every time I got a question, or $400 every time I got a question. It's like, all right, I know the answer to that. Now it's business time, so now I'm gonna pay you because now there's money on the table, and now I want to make sure everything's right and everybody, everything's lined up right. So it's like now you can pay for that versus like, oh, what does this mean? What is where to and thereof and oh my God, I'm going crazy. But like really, it's so much free knowledge out there that you can just study. I feel like if you just do that, you definitely become successful and you'll definitely start connecting all the dots and stuff.
What type of techniques did the military teach you that you'll apply in the industry that you're in today?
I would say the biggest one, integrity. Because be no do who you are. You can do a whole lot of stuff in this world and like people forget about it, but how you make somebody feel, that lasts forever. That's an impression forever. So like having integrity, selfless service, being able to sacrifice your time, before somebody else is like, hey, like I want to make sure you're good, and I'm just gonna do everything I can to make sure you're straight. Being selfless. Also, a lot of artists they're selfish, not selfless. They're selfish, and that's why a lot of times you're like, oh, that's why the word they have. You look at it and be like, oh, you selfish. I don't know what. Like that's crazy. Having honor, courage, have personal courage, like want to do something, accomplish it. Uh, just being, like I said, I talk about ethical, and then just just everything, man. Like all those cores and discipline, the biggest one, having that discipline to like subdue your passions and not go in there and like even if you like to drink, smoke, and all that, but like not be doing that when you're supposed to be working. Like set up that work environment because a lot of people get misinterpreted like, oh yeah, I'm just having fun. Like even the military is like, man, we just going out to the range to shoot, but as a structure, it's like, oh no, we got to have this. We got to make sure we got personal aid. We got to make sure we have this ready to go in case this happens. Like just becoming the planner, it's like, oh, it goes a lot to go shoot at a range. Even though we're like, oh, I'm just gonna have fun to go shoot off some rounds, and blah blah blah. But it's a lot that goes into it, and it's the same thing with music. A lot goes into it, just making it hit, and just make sure you cover all those, dot all those I's and cross all those T's, will just help you be like, very successful in this, and just be that type of person, and just have that reputation. Your reputation will precede your arrival. And this industry is small, and like people talk. So if you work with one person, I guarantee you that circle is going to close back around. If you stay consistent with it, that circle comes back around. Oh yeah, I work with so and so. True story. Just worked with I did a record with B King and I did a record with me, and now they both got #1 records. And like that full circle moment is like they still shout me out and respect. Like I was always respectful and always did what I was supposed to do and always supported them, even if they weren't that big. It was like, well, I repost. I worked on that record, or I ain't work on that record, but I think they dope, so I'm gonna repost it anyway. And not just be like all selfish, like, oh, it ain't my stuff, so I don't want to promote them. But it's like just being a team player, being teamwork. There's no I in team, and then that's what it's about. Because 1 + 1 = 2, and then 1 + 3 = 4, but 2 + 3 = 4 too. So it's like connecting all those dots. Like it's different ways to get the different things you want to do in the industry. So definitely, teamwork will definitely get you there too. That what I learned in the military too, being a team player, like that helps out a whole lot.
Well, 1 + 1 has equal 2, and you guys have formed DFD. You've done some things that a lot of artists haven't done, and they haven't done yet. Had a Billboard chart-topping record that you've worked with. What's that been like, and what's it like having multiple genres?
We were just talking about like it's just to us we just doing what we're supposed to do. When it happens and we realize how great it is when the way other people treat us and how other people come at us is like, oh yeah, I guess I do have a Billboard hit. For us, our goals are just so much bigger than that. Like we want Grammys, we want #1 records. Us setting our goals so high and achieving those is like, oh, that's just little. Like we just gonna keep pushing, and we just kept pushing. We never stuck to one record. Like most people do one record and stick it out. So we did. The most unique one I like is the blues one, the blues genre that we conquered. And we end up on Billboard charts now. We just sat down, we did research. Like I said, we researched I probably listened to 500 songs. No cap. Like 500. Me and my partner sat on the phone for 6 hours. He was in LA, Davis Chris. We sat on the phone 6 hours and we was going back and forth. We were researching. It was like, man, check this site out. Like, check this out. Hey, listen to this song. We would listen to songs. Yeah, we could do something like that because I play the drums on it. I'm part of all the instrumentation, all the elements of blues are there. So we want to step into the genre and just be like, oh, they just some hip hop dudes trying to do blues and crossover, and it was like strictly blues, like Etta James, Muddy Waters, like BB King, like we just listened to like all these crazy records people never heard of, but just in that genre was like, I like that. Like let's try to twist it to this. And then reached out to the artists. They were regular. Only one artist actually blues, her name Shell. Shout out to Shell. We reached out to her. She jumped on the record. Other part of Celsius, she worked on a lot of records. Been in our circle. Like this, our inner circle. My partner Will, he's in our inner circle. This dude Andrew, my partner Chris worked with a lot in the inner circle. Caleb, we played the guitar a lot on a lot of records, and he just was in that circle. It was just kind of dope, like to be to put all those elements together. Like, no, we needed to be blues specific. Like, listen to blues if you got to before you send it. Even my partner was harping on me. He was like, don't send me that jazzy drum stuff. And I like literally like kept it in the pocket. I was making sure I listed 3-4 times, track myself, which is kind of dope, being an engineer and stuff. I was able to track myself, mic all my stuff up, got on the drum set, send him loops, he sent me loops, and then We just put everything together and we just rocked out with it.
A lot of people have sometimes a confusing time with being a producer versus an engineer. What would you say the difference is between a producer and an engineer?
I say a producer is not just a beat maker. Producer is organizing the record, structuring the record, reaching out, like being, oh no, you need to change, like kind of like being a songwriter kind of too, and like really come up with the concept and really fitting the vision to the artist. That would be a producer. The engineering is like all the technical stuff going with, okay, the dB's too high, let me turn the mic down, let me do a compressor on this, let me, adjust, let me melodyne on, use melodyne on the voice and stuff and get the voice comparison line up and all the waves line up and everything line up perfect. That would be on the engineer, because a lot of times people going to press record. Everybody can press record, but like engineering to me is like the science of it, like breaking it all down and adding stuff to it and taking away stuff from it and taking that in the production and putting it all together and then just rocking out with the record. Like that to me would be like the difference. And it's dope. It's dope to be talented in both because you understand, but divvy off that work. Like that's how me and my partner do. Like we divvy off the work. It's not just everything on one person. We take opinions and we work with other people and other producers, because it's not like, oh, I'm the best producer in the world. It's like, well, let me bring a song so I know he's dope. He got like a unique sound. Some people have a gift, don't even know they have it, and it's like, man, if you just really harp down, you could be super dope. And then people take that when they run into you and they see how you doing. They're like, you know what, I do need to learn it because this is dope. Like they got me on the record and it did good. And a lot of people, like we give a lot of people opportunities. We reach out, and 9 out of 10 times, people will be like, who are they or this, and they don't respond back fast enough, or they drag their feet because it ain't their stuff, or they don't want to promote it. And it's like the whole thing with Billboard was like, yeah, in your face, because the unique thing between me and my partner Chris was the marketing. We do our own marketing. It's all in-house. So we sit there doing research. We send it out all the blogs. We write up all the press releases. We do all that stuff. And it's like, for us to have success, like a lot of producers and engineers and artists, they don't do that. They just record and then go about the day, do a show, whatever. Instead of like, we go through all the steps. And that's why I would like not even to harp down on like producers that have like plaques and stuff and platinum. By all means, it's great, but I feel like the record is going to be dope anyway, whether you was on the record or not. And for us to be like, nah, I wouldn't have been dope unless we were on it and do it. That's kind of like what we bring to the game in the industry as far as with the music that we put out. Because we don't have a big label with 200,000, 300,000 pressing the button on it. We have to like, oh man, look, we got 20, 30,000. We got to figure this out. We got to make it work. If we're going to make it work, we got to make it go, make it count for something. And then to be able, we structure business early around it. Like, oh yeah, we can offer marketing service because we've done it ourselves. So what marketing company would you rather go to? Would you rather go to a marketing company that's like, oh, I can do all this stuff for you, you pay me, and I'm going to make it happen, or, just give you false hope, or you rather pay somebody that goes, man, yeah, we're going to do all this stuff. Oh, we done it. So this is what it costs. And it's like, okay, we realized like now that influx, and it was just a unique business, model and idea. It was like, oh man, like people are actually like paying and we're giving them results and they're coming back around and doing it again and again because they want to, people want, the music industry competitive, people want to be better than you. So it's like, I don't care. We're not on lane because I feel like in our lane, we're just more talented. Like I said, we did most of our genres. We did 2 Billboard campaigns in 2 different languages, in Latin, and then my partner, we did a world record. Chris learned your way, and like we shot the record out to Africa. These dancers came back; they were sending back content with them dancing and stuff in Africa, and barefoot and all that stuff, and like that whole vibe was just a vibe. And then the same thing with Latin. Shout out to Vince. We sent the record down to them, and Natalie Lees, who was a Grammy nominated writer, songwriter, and stuff, and like she's Latin, and like having them like speak Spanish and rapping in Spanish and singing in Spanish was just like dope. Like that's just something that I know every producer can't do. So it's like, all right, we're not competing. No, by no means are we competing. We're not competitive. Like let's just work together. Because like I said, 100 plus 100 equals 200%. And you got 3, 4, 5 folks on a record, which if you see like there's a trend with our records, it's 4 or 5 people involved on each record because we know that in numbers we can do more. We can reach more of a bigger audience. And like I said, most artists are selfish. They throw a feature, but you should know that you can put the record, you and so. It doesn't have to be you featuring this person. It can be you and you. And then y'all both tap into each other, fan base and resources and width and algorithm. Like, it's just amazing. Like, we figured that part out and we just been rocking out because it's me and Davis Chris. It's not like, oh, Davis Chris featuring Mr. Fox on some records and featuring this artist. Like, it's everybody together because if you look at the way the digital realm is, the way music is right now, especially during COVID, is streaming. streaming is what's it. Ain't nobody doing shows like that but in Atlanta. If you're in the A, you doing shows. But if you're anywhere else in the world, you gotta rely on your streaming. So it's like if you tap into those, you trigger that algorithm and Spotify start picking up on editorial, which we've been on 7 editorial playlists with records. So it's like you trigger all that stuff and get everything moving. That's like an influx. That's money overnight. Every day is making money. While you can focus on the other stuff to get people to your music. Oh yeah, check this out. Then you got your peer-to-peer, Then you got your Google Ads, direct marketing, where it's like, this is it. Like, listen to this. You already like stuff like this. And 9 out of 10 people, they're subjected to be like, oh yeah, let me see what's going on with this. And having the right write-ups. You having the correct write-up and the right person endorsing and stamping you off is a way to win too. And I just know that these are things that I know like 90% of producers, they just want to be the cool guy in the room. Man, I'm with the baby, so it's gonna be hot. Yeah, that record gonna tell y'all that's the baby. He got a label behind it. He got $300,000, $400,000 $1 million going behind the record. You gonna be dope, but can you do that yourself with the baby? And that's kind of how we put the twist on it. Was like it's us and the artist versus a label. Like we're not a label. People are like, y'all label now. We just artists too. We artists just like y'all. We just gonna put everybody together and everybody wins together. If you get on board, if you go against the grain and then drag your feet or whatever, then it's like, oh, when it's winning time and awards and accolades, and these folks, man, they call you so quick and get on the phone, shoot you 5, 6 emails. Hey, man, what's going on with that pipe? Well, bro, you didn't even promote the record. Like, come on, man, work with us. work with us. Help us help you. Like, we try to help you. And you just, it wasn't yours, so you didn't really care. And we can respect that. That's cool. But like I said, like that big thing, like I said, me and my partner, we both ex-military. That teamwork, we both feed off each other, especially when it comes to being competitive too. We just feed off each other and just keep executing and teach everybody else, like, if you just execute, you're gonna win anyway.
What does the accolades mean to your parents? What does it mean to you?
I think it just hit my mama with the gospel one we just did, because it was a song, the last record, Blood Ain't Thicker Than Water, which is about, it brings awareness to sexual abuse among children by family members. So that one, I think, is the one that's like got everybody kind of like, oh shit, like they doing real music. They're doing something. And that to me was like, this is probably like the best record we probably worked on all together. Like, no cap. Like, I love it. I love the message put out. D-Org, one of the organizations, Darkness to Lightness, which is like one of the organizations that we're donating as a charity, like one of the charity organizations. And I just think this is dope. And that's what my mom was like. She's been like telling everybody, she like gospel, all your Southern black mamas and grannies, they like that gospel. They don't care about that shaking booty and dance music. But I would say for them, that's like the biggest accolade. Oh, you're number 2, and then be number 2. It's like totally took us like by surprise. We're like, we're number 2. What? Well, we're cool with 8. Even though cool 18 to 25 means 25 side, 15 slots on the charts. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Like to be like in the low numbers because like we're independent, so it's kind of like it's still a big accolade for us too. But for us, we don't look at it like accolade. We look at it just a result to like us doing what we're supposed to do. Like we set out a plan and we execute it, and it's like, oh, that's our reward. Like, okay, let's do it again, or let's do another one. Like we don't just like we go to like that's what we was able to do so many within months, and we put out like 64 records this year. Like it's insane. Like our work ethic, like we was holding on and recording and waiting and relying on so many different people, like to take them real. Like we can just take control of our career and just be the artist, like a DJ Khaled, Calvin Harris. Like we can just be that and put out our records ourselves and execute. And if you, like I said, study and research and you look at how they did it, they're doing the exact same thing we did, the exact same. So we're like, okay, we're on the right path. Like we just gonna keep rocking out like this. This is what we're gonna do. This is gonna be our brand, and we just bring the charisma and all the extra stuff to it. Unique thing, we're military vets and combat veterans and all that. That's what to add a little twist to the story. But yeah, like the accolades will be like the reward, like the stamp. Like, all right, everyone else is saying we dope, so we gotta be all right. If everybody's rocking with it, we gotta be all right. So that means a lot to us. And then the biggest one we did, which most people didn't know, was like the Grammy consideration. Like just to be considered for a Grammy was like super huge for us. Even though we didn't get Grammy nominated or whatever, it was just like we know that's the next level.
What's next?
Right now, we just, like I said, we got our biggest project, which I'm very excited about. It's actually real hip hop. And it's just so funny that we already cut the record, we already cut the album. We just put out the other projects and kind of put the final touches to put it out. But if you look at the Grammy nominations this year, they're all hip hop. Like it ain't Lil Tay Tay and Lil Baby and all that. Like it ain't those ain't the top hip hop out there. They're real. If you know the artists on it, like Prince Royce and Freddie Gibbs on it, they're like The Alchemist, like, who's been around since the '90s. They're like hip hop, like real hip hop. So it's kind of dope that we have a real hip hop. It's featuring Paul Wall. You know, another hip hop legend. My partner, he's from Houston, so we had to get Paul Wall on the record. We reached out. He jumped on the record, which was crazy. Noah Lyles, who's like the fastest American, he's the world's fastest American sprinter right now. He just signed a deal with Adidas. He actually raps, and he raps fast too, and he raps lyrical. He's on the record, so it's kind of surprised. We got a couple of people that I came up with, I grew up with, that's never like deviated from doing real hip hop. You know, despite them not being as successful. Like, hey, come jump on this. I got this track. My partner King Mo, who's another military vet. The Marine rapper TMR, another military vet. So it's like we kind of reach and touch those bases of people that actually do like lyrical, and it's telling a story, and it's about, you know, overcoming death and having hope. And it's a lot of stuff that it relates to a lot of stuff that me and my partner both, us with PTSD and anxiety, and like, we dealt with a lot. And death is always my ultimate fear. It's like, man, if I die now, like, oh my God, like there's so much I still want to do. Versus like when I was in the military too, it's like, if I die now, I've done all this great stuff. Now it's like, man, I can do so much more now. And it's like, man, I don't want to die now. So it's like, I deal with a lot of that. He eats me up sometimes. My partner, we both calm each other down. Like, nah, man, we're going to make it, man. We're gonna get to where we got to go. And I'm surrounded by that. Like, people pass away. You know, I'm getting older, and it's natural life that people pass away. Like I said, I lost my father, like, right before I started doing this. And I lost my best friend. He got killed. And then I lost my uncles, and just people were just like, that was key influence in my life, would just start passing away, you know, to overcome that and just keep holding on and pushing on, being homeless and living in my car, and just, you know, taking that struggle and taking that chance in life, you know, just overcoming everything gives you a lot of anxiety, and you just overcome. That's what this whole record's about. It's just about, if you listen to all the records, you be like, oh man, like this is dope, like this is a good hip hop, and we hope it get nominated for Grammy. We hope it do all this greatness that we wanted to do. We hope that's what happens and people take heed. But like I said, Blood Ain't Thick in the Water kind of like took everybody right now by storm, and it's just heating up. It's only been out a week, so for it had already landed on Billboard, and we doing all these interviews and blogs and stuff about the record, and doing more interviews. So it's like, all right, yeah, this is gonna be the one we're gonna keep pushing the sing. We're gonna push this one for a little while for sure before we get into it. And then like next year, we're gonna start dropping more projects and stuff too. Like I said, we got a head start. We got a head start now, like for next year, to like really get everything going. We kind of got a good motion going versus like we started kind of like mid-year, and we still had a lot of success, but we never gave up. So we never really gave up on it. So yeah, definitely a lot coming in the future for sure.
Okay, awesome. Well, look, it has definitely been a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely, man.
I'm going to ask you this one last thing because I think that it's dope because, you know, a lot of people will probably never experience some of the levels, some of the rooms you've probably been in. What is it like being in a room with the Calvin Harris? What is it like being in a room with Beat King? What is it like being in a room with people like that or on those musical levels?
When you're prepared, it's just natural. It's just like if me and you was in the room like we're right now here, you know, filming in the studio. It's like if you were John Singleton, it would be the same. It'd be the same feeling, you know what I'm saying? Or if you were Spike Lee, it'd be kind of the same feeling. When you prepare for it, stuff happens to you when you're already prepared for it. Like that's why a lot of times if stuff happens too soon, people will blow it because they won't prepare for it. I feel like anytime now we in the room, like we belong there. Like that's where we're supposed to be at. So it's dope. It's not really nothing different. And as long as we know we go in there, we're gonna go in there and execute, and we're gonna do what we do. So that's what it is.
Awesome. Well, look, it has definitely been a pleasure. I really, really appreciate you for coming past the block today.
Already, man. Love being hey, this is dope. I'm glad you reached out, for real.
Hey, look, you don't have no clue how much this means, but thank you. I really appreciate you coming
welcome, man. You're welcome, man. All day.
All right. Oh, one last thing. Where can people follow you?
Oh, you can follow me. Yeah, that's dope, right? So you can follow me on IG at The Real Shane Foster, and then at I Am Davis Chris. That's my partner, and then DFD Music LLC. And then also be sure to check out our website, dfdmusic.com. Definitely, and that'll tag you right back into whatever I miss, Twitter and all that stuff too. So you can always stay connected that way too. Sure.
Have you ever thought about starting a master class or joining Cameo?
Man, why you say that about master class? That's so funny. We watch master class. Me and my partner Davis Chris. That's one of our little researchable free skills. Real masterclass. Timberland got one. Power negotiation. All these big negotiators like hostage negotiators. All that ties in with music. And then you got regular business and law practices like basic stuff. They're all on masterclass. So it's funny you said, but yeah, in the due time, we'll probably be giving our own masterclass for the independent artists. And like, this is the blueprint on this is what you got to do. So yeah, absolutely.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, already, man.
It's just like TV The Block, man. The real Shane Foster has definitely been to the block. Thank you.
This is the boy Real Shane Foster on the block. Let's go.
Just Swag TV.
What's up? It's your boy, the Real Shane Foster, aka Mr. Foster. I was on Just Swag TV, aka The Block.
Sweet and swag, 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 swag. Yeah. Just Swag TV.